Links with Friends. It's now its own channel. We're going to start posting the news. I've said the word. We're going to start posting stuff like that there on that. There's a link for that. Check that out. Links with Friends.
And if you don't subscribe, you can't be a friend.
Ooh, get in on your parasocial friendships now.
Oh my gosh. But yes, more of this kind of stuff and specials.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Links with Friends show. Today is April 22nd. Blaze it. It's not. I guess it's not the 22nd, is it?
No.
Anyway, happy day. It's all government today. So.
Wait a minute. Is Easter 420 this year?
Oh, it is.
What a fun crossover.
Well, that's gonna be, when I go to see my family this weekend, there may be some things happening in the backyard, unbeknownst to the older members of the family.
The caramel eggs are going to really hit this year. Going to hit different.
The deviled eggs, if you can afford them.
Well, it's all government today, as you said. It's I don't know. It's weird. It's like something is happening in government that is just
Constantly
dominating the news cycle.
Oh, no.
And it's almost like business just doesn't want to do anything right now.
Yeah, businesses are shutting down. They're on hiatus.
And one business got another big piece of bad news on top of all that.
Google has illegal advertising monopoly, a judge ruled, and this is a pretty comprehensive ruling. It's not just an illegal advertising monopoly. They sort of found that the whole mechanism here is illegal, or is an abuse of monopoly power, I guess. So like the whole mechanism where if you're the New York Times and you're running Google ads on your website, Google can observe that a visitor to the New York Times is on your website. And if the New York Times wants a lot of money to run ads, Google will not sell an ad there. But then if that visitor goes to like Bob's Bait and Tackle, who also has Google ads, then they can sell ads cheap on Bob's Bait and Tackle for the people that were on the New York Times. So they're just saying that this mechanism is not good.
And the whole Google ecosystem, there's like companies that manage the buying and the selling and, both sides of the ads and everything. And Google bought a bunch of those. So they monopolized further.
To the point of price manipulation, I think the judge used the words price manipulation.
I don't feel like this is a hugely surprising ruling. I guess it's more surprising that a judge ruled against Google, but they'll probably just pay a fine, right? That's always what happens.
No, this is part of the...
we're going to break you up?
Breakup, yeah. So they already had the other ruling against them, now they got this one too. So it's not looking good for the ads business. I mean, they're definitely going to appeal. It'll take a long time. You know what? They're going to need several $1 million tickets to cash in.
That we learn later in the episodes that that's not effective.
Well, it's effective for a very short window of time.
One day only.
It's only $1 million. And we had some AI Congress testimonies, and all the big leaders got in front of the lawmakers to talk about, like the horrible future that we're going into. And they all agreed on one thing.
The AI industry to Congress. We need energy. They
picked a good picture for this. It's like he's pulling the energy out of the air.
Well, it turns out like this was really revealing. Like these wealthy people said, hey, a lot of private investment companies have bought up the energy production companies, and they're just raising the prices without actually making things better. And this is probably a monopoly, and it is probably terrible. And we need to deregulate the, what do you call this? Regulatory capture, I think is the word that I'm looking for. We need to deregulate this so that more energy production can enter the fray. And it's kind of wild how, we as consumers, it was like, no, your suffering is going to happen no matter what. The rates you as a residents pay for electricity, that's not going to change. But the AI data center, they're going to pay a third to a quarter what you pay as an individual.
Do you think when they said those things, was there even just a tiny speck of irony firing in those sentences in their head? Did they realize what they were saying?
No, they didn't. But this is also like, I think this is a call to arms for normal people. Like,
bad phrasing. You're going to get the new channel just removed before it's even.
Listen, you want to upset people? Turn off their air conditioners and refrigerators. You want to motivate them to actually do something? I think that might do it. And we are still having the AI war, and DeepSeek is still out there releasing new models and doing it on the cheap, and our AI people are crying foul.
U.S. mulls penalties to block DeepSeek from buying American technology, according to the New York Times. And this makes no sense.
It doesn't, because it can run on like nothing.
Yeah, this just this kind of stuff is just so dumb. It's so dumb.
Do you think OpenAI paid $1 million to get that?
Well, we know who did pay more than $1 million, and they are doing more. They are promising that, yes, they will onshore, and they have massive plans for it.
TSMC to build 30% of its 2 nanometer and more advanced chips in the U.S. to speed up Fab 21 build out. I wonder if Taiwan thinks of the United States now as its older, slightly going senile, uncle that is historically kept the wolves at bay, but now it's like, uncle might be becoming old and frail.
Only if Uncle consumes the vast majority of what they output, because that's the relationship.
Well, there's the whole rest of the world as an opportunity there.
Well, they're going after the growth markets, I'm sure. They call this a super cluster, and it's going to be a giant campus that does the whole thing. Screwing in them screws, boys. Get to it. And if you recall, last week there was an exception for certain tariffs. It was like tablets and phones and CPUs and stuff like that. And then there was like, well, wait a minute. Are we doing that? Are we not doing that? We are doing it. But wait, now we get this.
Commerce Secretary Lutnick says tariff exemptions for electronics are only temporary. Our suffering is forever.
When was this article released? It's probably already out of date.
This is the 13th.
Yeah. By the time they see this, who knows what's going to
I
happen.
think this is still the case. It's just they're saying that during these next 90 days or something, they're going to negotiate.
It's kind of sad because businesses that are too small to open foreign offices are probably just going to close. And the ones that are large enough to open foreign offices are going to open foreign offices, and that business is just not going to come to America in the first place. I mean, we got the Irish.
The trickle down didn't work?
Yeah, we've got the Irish, the profits were already offshored. So how much of a... what a mess.
And I didn't find any other mainstream sources for this. I don't know what narrative. You guys ever heard of them?
No.
So maybe this is fake news, but a lot of it's fake news, right? So just take it with a grain of salt, like everything else that we show you.
Narrative's headline is Breaking News, Russian IP address accessing U.S. government data via Elon Musk's DOGE.
I wouldn't be surprised by this, but again, yeah, I don't know who these people are.
This comes from a lawyer. So a lawyer is acting on behalf of a former employee of some agency, National Labor Relations Board, I think, is what this was. And so they have logs and details and a bunch of other things. And so it's been vetted by a lawyer, but we'll see.
So the thing here is DOGE took over and created new credentials for themselves. And then obviously everything gets logged and audited. As soon as those credentials were created, one of those credentials was used from a Russian IP address.
Now the system blocked access because it's geofenced.
So
but the password was correct.
Obviously, everything from Russia doesn't get in, but somehow that Russian IP address got a hold of, and I think they said something about it going over Starlink, but everything goes over Starlink now, right? So I don't even know if that even matters. But the question is, if it's true...
Is the DOGE team compromised?
Well, certainly.
If it's true, is this malicious or just stupidity?
At this point, they're indistinguishable.
Either scenario is real bad.
Yeah. Are you telling me that 19-year-old kid didn't understand best security practices?
They also audited the signal thing, and there's no traces of the signal thing, which is disappointing.
And this one has actually, if you've followed this show, this has been contentious for a very long time because the regulatory capture was in effect here. The tax companies were able to just neuter this thing. So it really is useless. But they're using it as another headline to point out how bad DOGE is.
Trump administration plans to end the IRS direct file program for free tax filing, AP sources say. The stats were 490,000 people tried to use this, 150,000 people successfully used this. Those aren't great stats. But I can also tell you that my own personal opinion of Intuit and the other tax software companies is that they are evil with reckless abandon. And they would not like this. They also talked about how they gutted 18F. 18F was probably one of the least wasteful development things inside of government. And they were so effective, at least I think evidence of how effective they were is that they were routinely sued by Accenture and others for making it hard for them to have insane profit margins and making it easier for more businesses to do government contract, more smaller businesses to do government contracting. And the 18F's gone now, so.
And there was a lot of outrage about this one, but like many of the outrage-inducing things, it was allowed to go right up to the finish line and then reversed, because that's just the new way we do things.
CISA extends funding to ensure no lapse in critical CVE services. So MITRE Corporation handles this. Funny story, MITRE was headhunting me when I was in college. That was fun. But MITRE runs this, but they also run this with federal money. And so some companies stepped up to fund this if the feds didn't come through. The feds came through about an hour late. But I think going forward, this is going to be funded by the industry, which is maybe better anyway. But this is not great. This was not handled well, in my opinion, because the CVE, the work that MITRE does and that is like the CVE ecosystem is critically important for computer security.
And more things that are getting removed.
In Ars Technica's most disappointing headline to Mr. Rogers, the White House calls NPR and PBS a grift and will ask Congress to rescind funding.
What the hell do they have against Sesame Street? I mean, come on.
This isn't the first time that this kind of thing has happened. This happened in the 70s and 80s during the energy crisis, the gasoline crisis and all that. And so, but I don't know that we have a Mr. Rogers now. Because Mr. Rogers was like, hey, this is what PBS is all about. And that was reasonable then.
I've not watched PBS in a very long time. But my truck, the sound system's kind of screwed up. So sometimes I do listen to NPR because I won't listen to commercials. And I got to say, it is the most stupidity just distilled. It's amazing that they are allowed to put that crap on the airwaves. But don't get rid of it. Just, make it good.
Comparatively, it doesn't really cost a lot of money. It's like, it's millions of dollars. And it's like, this is fine.
Yeah, but it's like millions of dollars just to pay for literal feces.
But what's the excuse for getting rid of Sesame Street?
Just public funding, I guess. Although they also do that viewers like you.
Yeah.
A lot of that money comes from donations, right? I don't know. And Mike Johnson is saying that it's actually, all this economic stuff and all the job losses, that doesn't have anything to do with AI or robots or, economic downturn, recession, secret recession that we've been in since 2022. No, none of that. It's your fault.
Mike Johnson says men need to stop playing video games all day and get to work. They're draining resources. Yeah, if you hadn't shattered the perception of if I go to work and work hard, I will get
rewarded
for that. Young men
go to work all day and you might not even be able to afford an apartment.
How many once in a lifetime crises have young people been through at this point? 2, 3, 4?
4, I think.
We're heading pretty severely into one that I think will make the rest of them look like nothing.
But just stop playing those video games and everything will be better. Stop eating the avocado toast.
And at first I was like, well, maybe there's some coincidences here, and then more things happened with Tesla and SpaceX, and I was like, God, it's getting really hard to ignore this. Now,
it's just in the open. There's no even pretense of anything else.
You wake up every day and it's like someone just slaps you in the face. It's like, yeah, I'm in charge now.
Social Security Administration will be using X to communicate moving forward. This is after they've backpedaled on doing away with the phone lines. I don't know how we would wake up the sleeping elderly population in the United States, but I have a feeling this is one of the steps in that plan.
I have to get an account where?
Now, I will say, it's easy to think that old people can't do social media, but my dad is helpless with most technology, but he is all over Facebook because that's his addiction.
But not Twitter.
I don't know. He might be on Twitter too if he had found that first. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Facebook is more for the oldies, but Twitter's probably getting up there, right? All the young kids are off to
I don't
all
know
the
a lot
other
of
stuff
people.
now, right? Yeah.
I think how this will actually happen is that old people will try to use it Like they'll earnestly try. It's like, there's a problem with my benefits, or this was a mistake. And then they'll just ignore them. And then that will be the excuse. Is like, oh, we were using social media for communicating with the elderly. What did you expect would
Which
happen?
a lot of government agencies have, like Twitter handles or Facebook pages or whatever, but like
Exclusively.
but not exclusively. Like they use other things to communicate as well, usually like an official website.
Is this supposed to be bi-directional? Because I got the impression it was just like announcements and stuff.
Oh, is it? Maybe.
But I hate that, right? Because
That's still annoying because you have to have an account. Like
That's
there's
like-
a pay, like not really a paywall, but like an account wall.
it's like every restaurant only putting their menu on Facebook. I don't have a Facebook account. It won't let me look at it. And when it comes to Europe, they are, not big fans of ours right now. And they're looking to divest, even down to the weapons. And our government is not happy about that.
It's time for Europe to choose between the U.S. or Chinese satellite technology, says the FCC chair.
Well, you've really. What do you think they're gonna do, asshole?
Also, he says U.S. or Chinese satellite tech. U.S. satellite tech, guess what that is?
SpaceX.
Starlink.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what they're trying to sell them. Now, it probably is true that if Chinese give them satellite tech, there might be a little spying there.
There's
There
probably
might
a little
be
spying
there
from
might
us
be a
too,
little
yeah.
spying in the Starlink as well. They could build their own system. He said, yeah, it'd be cool if you guys built your own system. Just don't go to China. Was his. I don't think he really believes that. I think he actually wants them to use Starlink. And Maven. Now, we talked about Maven. God, how long ago was that?
A while.
It's been a while. It was very controversial, remember?
Yeah.
People were like quitting their jobs and standing up against, like, no, we cannot do this. Well, guess what? They did it. And now they're doing more of it.
NATO has inked a deal with Palantir for Maven AI systems. Palantir got a lot of contracts this week, including some from Immigrations and Customs.
Ugh.
And the Maven AI system is going to help them identify targets, and it's going to sift through all the communication data and find targets that would probably be useful in whatever theater they're operating in.
One of the big things they really hammered here was consolidation of information sources, right? Maven is going to be a way to take in all the various military communication channels, rapidly look at them with AI, and then interpret and distribute them, which seems to me like one point of surveillance, right? Like if you get a backdoor in there or an agent, they only have to look at one thing.
I always love how these systems are never architected so somebody can look at and validate. Like, this is a reasonable conclusion that you have come to based on the information that you have shown me, versus the AI just hallucinating or making things up.
What are the sources for this information? There are none.
I said it. Well, the AI said it was so. I mean, look at the terrible results from just facial recognition. Like, it's fine to use AI for lead generation. It is probably not fine to build some sort of surveillance panopticon for everybody that then you have to, it's like, defend this innocent action.
The other big event we had this week was Zuckerberg getting in front of Congress again, and this case is going on, and the attorneys are saying that this should not be allowed to.
Meta attorney blasts the FTC antitrust case as at war with facts and at war with the law, says that it ignores TikTok's competitive influence.
This is such a childish. I mean, like it's not completely wrong, but I
No,
hate
I
it when
think
they.
there's a lot of truth.
But
to
when
that.
they like turn in their own, they just point. Well, so another person's doing it.
There's so much metagaming going on with this that it's like the Bill Gates trial. Like there's clips on YouTube of Bill Gates like stuttering and drinking a Diet Coke, and it is endlessly entertaining to watch someone that I mean, he's brilliant, but he is so unprepared, and he's been coached so hard by the lawyers that like you could just see it, and it's just like, oh, something bad happened there. Zuckerberg hasn't had any of that, and he's much worse than Bill Gates was at all of these things, and so that is kind of entertaining. But also, Meta's lawyers seem completely unprepared. Like, they thought that this was never going to go to trial, and now all of a sudden they're having to do stuff, and so like there's this meta game of just the suffering and
We
the
spent
lawyers.
$1 million. Why?
Yeah. But it is definitely true that I don't know if the government thought it was going to go forward either, because it's like, oh, Snapchat is your biggest competitor. And Facebook's like, have you heard of TikTok? Because they're killing us.
Do we have the... No, it's in business. We got some more about this in the business section because they also leaked some stuff that they weren't supposed to. Because Apple's like, yeah, this is our stats on Messenger. But we'll talk more about that.
And we have another onshoring that this time coming from the biggest player.
Nvidia's own headline: Nvidia is going to manufacture American-made AI supercomputers in the U.S. for the first time. It's going to take them about 2 years. They're breaking ground now, basically, and they're going to bring jobs to America. They announced this the day after the White House said that they would pause the ban on H20s. And then as soon as they announced this, the White House said the ban on H20 GPUs is back on.
This is another. The TSMC is going to be in Arizona as well.
Yeah.
There's no water.
That's a problem for someone else to figure
That's
out.
a problem for California.
The poor Colorado River Basin.
And oh boy, it never stops. There are just ceaseless Roblox headlines, and every time somebody does a study or like goes in and looks for themselves, they're like, "Yep, it's a wasteland of attempted SA." Yeah, we confirm.
Florida Attorney General subpoenas Roblox amid growing concerns for children's safety. Yeah.
So they registered 3 accounts: a 10-year-old, a 15-year-old, and a 40-year-old. So they wouldn't have any prior like poisoning or, and they didn't like let it know anything about them, so it couldn't guess anything or train anything. They just gave it the age. And there were no restrictions. They were allowed to go wherever they want. The 40-year-old was allowed to go in all the kids' rooms. The kids were allowed to go in all the adult rooms. Also, for some reason, there's are we paywalled here? There were like
Something didn't load.
simulated sexual stuff and like girls in corsets and fishnets. Like, why is that in Roblox? Is that a user created thing?
User-generated content is really popular. It's kind of like Twitch. It's like Twitch doesn't have that, but then you can stumble into that corner of Twitch, and it's like, oh.
I've lost count. I know UK was going to do this. Australia was going to do it. I mean, China's already doing it, right? There was another. Was it New Zealand was trying to do it? But for the first time, a state has tried this. Well, actually, it might not be.
Florida's new social media bill says the quiet part out loud and demands an encryption backdoor. We want to be able to see private messages between people to scan it for objectionable material.
But no, wait. It's not that, because there's an exception. We only want to break encryption for people under the age of, 13 or 10 or something like that? Because you can do it that way, right? Because those people never communicate with older people. They are using they're using the Roblox argument, which just seems to be true, but this is not going to fix it.
When encryption is outlawed, only the outlaws will have encryption.
And this kind of thing has been going on a long time, but as you can imagine, it's getting better and better, and this program seems very effective.
Wired's headline is this quote-unquote college protester isn't real. It's using it's an AI-powered undercover bot for cops. So this bot can take on a bunch of different roles.
A persona.
But also languages. So, it poses as a person speaking Arabic, and the goal of this AI is to get people to engage with it so that it knows, it's like, oh, are you protesting? What's your sentiment about this? It's like, and then informs law enforcement.
What I find more scary is I can imagine like this is going to dampen efforts to try to make protests where it's like there'll be false information given out by these AIs, so it's harder to organize.
Oh, I think they want to organize. Nice underwear shot there.
Oh yeah, the AI can impersonate escorts apparently to honey trap people.
They're definitely leaning toward the young, attractive girls, aren't they? I think they know who they're after. So yeah, look out for that. It's all fake.
You never know who you're talking to on the internet.
But it's probably a robot.
It's probably 3 squirrels in a trench coat.
Probably didn't.
It's a robot that's going to try to get you to show up to a protest that doesn't exist, so it knows that you're a dissident.
Well, I think the protest will exist, but 90% of the participants will either be these thirst trap guys or other feds.
Well, did we have the nonsense headline about the cops arresting the other cops? It was a drug deal. Like the drug dealers were cops and the drug recipients were.
Are you talking about like years ago?
No, that was
probably happened a lot.
That was a candidate for nonsense this week.
There was I don't know the recent one, but that's happened a lot. Because you have 2 different agencies that won't communicate, and one of them's entrapping one and one of them's entrapping the other. It's all just fake. And the UK is saying that they need more power to give out all your information.
UK report says outdated laws hampered the fight against misinformation during anti-immigrant violence. And then this talks about one specific instance But I'm also forced to remember a lot of the other headlines out of the UK about grannies being harassed for posting relatively innocuous things on social media.
But I don't see how this instance was incorrect. Remember, this was the Taylor Swift thing. Remember that?
Mm.
Dude stabbed a bunch of little girls.
Oh.
Yeah. People should be outraged by that, don't you think? And he was a citizen. The fine line here is they're like, no, he was a citizen. He's a first-generation citizen from Rwandan parents.
And he'd also been flagged by law enforcement multiple times. Multiple times.
That's probably the more relevant bit.
And the Euros are not having it. They don't like us anymore, and they no longer want to hang out with us.
Visitors to the U.S. take extreme precautions as Trump continues the march of fascism.
So this is true of Canada as well, and Mexico. A lot of countries not traveling here right now.
Well, if you do travel here, they're going to give you a burner phone that doesn't have any information on it because they don't trust the U.S. to not just slurp up all your stuff.
If you work for the government.
Yeah.
If you're just a random visitor, they're not going to give you anything.
Well, they might demand your, social media info when you come across.
We will, but the Euro governments are giving the government people, the employees. And one thing about Germans, I'll say this, I don't care if it's a stereotype, they're terrible at coming up with names for things. They're so literal. They can't help
I
themselves.
love that about the German people.
Germany to create quote-unquote super high-tech ministry for research, technology, and aerospace.
I bet in German that's an insanely long word.
So this is going to be for AI and defense and other things that they've designated super high-tech. They already had high-tech, but it's like, no, that's not enough. Going to take it to the next level. Good luck with that. And France is saying that the kids are better off without the screens, and they tried it for a little while, and they said, yeah, it's good.
France has tightened mobile phone ban in middle schools. Basically, they show up to school, the phones and the electronics go into a locker, and then they can get them out at the end of the day.
That seems fair to me.
They said that there was a lot of kids sneaking into the toilets to catch a couple of TikToks. Like the junkies that they are. Trying to find a vein. And here is a fun new weapon that might change the future battlefields quite a bit.
The UK just took down a swarm of drones with a 13-cent a shot energy weapon. Basically, you hit them with radiation, and they go down.
It's like when you were sending text messages back in the day.
Not well, that noise when you get too close to the microphone.
No, it was just like you used to have to pay like 10 cents a text.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Well, but our modern weapons are more like $100,000 a shot.
Well, that's just yeah.
Now, the cool thing about this, I guess, depending on which side of the drone that you're on, is it's not a jammer. It actually fries them. Like this disables them permanently. So they claim.
Soon the laser weapons will be real.
They already are. The warships got them.
Yeah, well, that would cost
We're
more
living
than
in
13
hell.
cents a
It
shot.
wasn't much, though. It was like a couple of bucks, right?
Yeah.
Are we really going to split hairs?
Have you priced bullets lately? They're like $5 each for those large cannons.
Sure, this one saves $100 million a shot, but we need that last $2. And this one is about the UK. I had to double check. I know it's the Guardian, but sometimes they'll do American headlines. It's like, who are you talking about here? Make it clear, Guardian. But no, they're talking about the UK and all the various taxes that they're not getting.
Silicon 6 accused of avoiding almost $278 billion in U.S. corporation taxes over 10 years. That sounds like that would alleviate a lot of the income from tariffs here in the States. Just claw some of that back.
Fund a lot of those programs they're cutting. Sure would like to have a NOAA office closer to where I live.
Number one offender, you would think probably Amazon, right? It's Netflix. Which is weird. And the trade war is heating up, and we're about to find out exactly what we don't have in this country, and this is definitely one of them.
China halts critical exports as trade war intensifies. Those fabs we're trying to bring online in Arizona, guess what we need? ...
Rare earths, but that's not just for fabs. There's a whole lot of stuff
Aerospace.
that needs rare earths.
Like
Cars now? Modern cars?
there's a couple places near us that need rare earths for their operations. They're probably going to go on hiatus.
And the other thing that is coming from the trade war is perhaps a little more boldness from China. Because in the past, we've always been like, hey, China hacks. And if you follow any of this stuff, you know that everybody hacks, especially the U.S. But China never really made a big deal about it. They were just sort of like, yeah, whatever. Not anymore.
In secret meeting, China acknowledged its role in U.S. infrastructure hacks. It's like, yeah, that's us. We're in there. What do you want?
I have to raise my hand and say, if the headline is in secret meeting and we're reading it on the Wall Street Journal, is it that secret?
Well, I think the secret meeting, though, was like just for government people. The U.S. was there. So they didn't come out and say it, but they said some stuff that was like, oh, hang on.
Wait a minute. Yeah.
You shouldn't know that. And so I actually confused that. I was thinking of the one where they actually named people. Is that in here, I wonder?
No, that's the next one. That one.
Oh, yeah. This is the one I was thinking about.
Beijing responds to tariffs by outing alleged NSA hackers by name. Apparently, the NSA was keenly interested in who was participating in the Beijing Winter Olympics or something, or the Winter Games.
Well, it was Catherine Wilson, Robert Snelling, and Stephen W. Johnson. And that is probably the first time they've ever actually gone to the lengths of naming those people.
You got to be sweating a little bit if you're one of those people.
A little bit of a badge of honor, maybe.
Yeah. China usually knows. They just don't say anything.
Now, we had a report last week that was like confirmed, but not really confirmed. Now it is confirmed. Someone wrecked one of those. It was BYD, right?
Yep.
Someone wrecked a BYD car, and they had the common experience that some people have in electric vehicles, which is it locks you in and catches fire, which is really, really bad PR.
China bans smart and autonomous driving terms from vehicle ads.
I thought you were going to say really, really bad for safety, but PR, I
Also
guess.
true.
Yeah.
Also true. Yeah.
It's interesting, though, that China immediately looked at this and said, yes, we'll ban this. Meanwhile, we in the U.S. have struggled with, what does full self-driving actually mean?
But they're not banning it. They're just making sure that you can't advertise it.
Right.
But people will still use it. I mean, what we've learned from full self-driving is people are just like, whatever, I'll try it.
The Chinese guidance on this was, you can call these assistive technologies, but they don't take over. It's just like, that's incredible. That's just using your brain and common sense, and you're just saying the obvious thing so that no consumer gets confused. Like, why don't we have that?
Because, well, we
Because
didn't
we're
have
dropping all those agencies.
We had to wait for somebody to be burned alive. That's the thing. That's the bar.
All those safety regulations written in blood.
And another thing that we might not be able to export from China, even though clearly this is the highest demand item in the world right now, is energy.
China has the world's first operational thorium nuclear reactor thanks to strategic stamina. Now, this has been online for a while, but this is the first time that they were able to refuel it while it was operating.
We need it.
It's a molten salt reactor. They figured out the corrosion problem. So, yay.
And you pointed out earlier, Krista, that Jensen, he got his $1 million ticket. Very short lifespan.
Yeah, it was expensive.
He might have felt a little burned by that. He might be seeking other ticket vendors.
Nvidia CEO stresses the importance of China market in his Beijing visit, Chinese state media reports. So yeah, what if Nvidia wants to just produce and sell whatever it can to China for products that are never manufactured in the United States in the first place? That just sidesteps all the tariff kerfuffle entirely, doesn't it?
No. No, those rules will change. He knows that. I don't know what his game is here, but he knows what's going to happen if that happens. And Japan, not really in the headlines much, but these days at least. But they are going. They're playing one of the cards that everybody else has already played, and they know is true.
Google hit with an antitrust order in Japan over pre-installed Android apps.
Do you think Google got that and they're like, not you too?
This isn't just Android search and all the Google apps. This is also stuff like Candy Crush.
Yeah, which is ridiculous. I don't know if it's Verizon or Samsung or who, but they do it every update.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's just
I think
offensive.
it's Samsung because I don't know if I'll ever get a Samsung phone again after seeing how much they constantly spam you with garbage.
I don't-
Uninstall this. That's weird. It came back.
Yeah.
Uninstall this. Oh, it's weird. It came back.
Do you think the other ones are any better though?
No.
I don't know if you can escape that.
OnePlus. OnePlus is reasonable.
I remember
Wait.
not having this problem on my old phone, or at least not to the same degree.
Yeah, because the world only gets worse.
You know what else is reasonable? The Links with Friends separate channel. Go check that out.
Reasonableness.
Good. That's really sizzles. That'll sell them on it. Go over there and subscribe.
We're just trying to be reasonable. It's just there are so many businesses and so many forces in modern life that are actively working against the collective interest of society. It concerns me that society is not working in its collective interest as society.
It's because we're all distracted and busy and like just trying to survive.
Well, as soon as you have like a group of citizens that try to work together, someone is paid to infiltrate that group and wreck its mission.
They don't have to pay someone anymore. There's an AI to do it.
or somebody that is like that has a Napoleon complex and can be convinced that they should lead the organization to greatness, and then they actually just destroy it from within.
Anyway, with that happy thought, go subscribe to the other channel. Bye!